You know, I had a question a while back, if you could never be depressed again, or if you could never have another anxiety attack, would you do it? And you know, like, I had to think for a second. I was like, no, because it's made me who I am. Depression and anxiety has been part of my life since I was a kid, but I didn't have the language for it. I didn't realize that that was why I would panic or why I would not want to get out of bed. Even when I left Killswitch, I didn't know that that's what was happening to me. I just thought I had a problem. I just stuffed drugs and alcohol to numb myself. There was suicidal thoughts going through my head. Around 2009, on one of my really bad days, I was recording demos for our project Times of Grace. And I was going through a walk behind the studio, and I found a 10-speed bicycle, like an old school, like 1980s huffy, yellow and black, like just shitty bike. I took it home with me and I just fixed it up. And I remember crying on the bicycle because I was so happy. I was like, this is fun. It's the most fun I've had in a long time. If I'm starting to feel the triggers, cycling helps. Another thing is just being okay talking about it. And it took me a long time to sort of admit to myself that I did need to talk about it. I really wasn't super open about it until a few years ago. One day it just dawned on me, and I'll never forget it. I was in my bathroom and I was feeling fucking crazy, and I decided to post about it. I was like, listen, I've never spoken this way on social media, but here it is. This is who I am. These are my fucking issues. I'm not okay. I'm not your role model. I think shitty things. I'm addicted to certain things. I think terrible stuff. It's hard when you have to be that honest about what you think and potentially what you do when people aren't around. The moment I exposed that conversation became so therapeutic to me. To have somebody go, oh, I know exactly why you do what you do. I have anxiety. Or, oh, I get why you are this way because I have depression. People's intense stories of loss and you know, self-inflicted harm and addiction, and for people pointing to my lyrics and saying, this helped me. I felt a purpose outside of the music. I felt a purpose in just being a human being that knows what it's like to live with a mental illness. Touring, I had a real love-hate relationship with. There are really hard days when I'm away from my wife, I'm away from the comforts of my bed, and I'll stay in my bunk until showtime. And I'm not in a good place, and I know I gotta get on stage soon. My bandmates and my crew, and everyone's relying on the show, and if we cancel, it'll be devastating. And our fans who paid money and got a babysitter and got off work or whatever, that's the shit that keeps me going.
What a beautiful day! The rain stops! The sun's coming out! And I'm back on stage with my brothers at Killswitch Engage!
The mental exercise that I had to figure out to get from being in my bed to an hour later being on stage and performing, that forced me to learn how to get out of it quick. Once I pushed through that barrier and like I'm in the performance, and even if I'm still low, I have a moment where I'm like, well, this is why I do it. I've had moments that have helped me so much because I just forced myself to be in front of these amazing people who care and will stay after the show and like seek me out to just tell me something about what they've gone through. I've held people while they have been crying and shaking. That shit has changed me forever and made me realize no matter how bad I get, I always have to make time to speak to these people who support me and allow me to do what I do. You know, I still have days where I feel like a piece of shit and I don't feel purpose. It's just something that I deal with, but now those dark places in my heart and those dark thoughts have created some of the most uplifting lyrics I've ever written because I had to go through that to see that. I needed that to get to where I am now.